Happy day. This is Dr. Sarah Jain, Assistant Professor, Department of Food Science, M.O.P. Vaishnav College. So today's lecture will be on endocrine glands, in particular the pituitary gland. So before we move on to endocrine glands, let me give a brief introduction of what basic physiology paper is all about. Basic physiology is a study of how the human body functions. Not only that, it also provides basic information on what are the different ways and mechanisms by which the body maintains its internal balance. So there could be various systems present in the human body, such as the digestive system, the circulatory, nervous and the respiratory system, and each system has its own intricate unique mechanism by which it is able to carry out its physiological functions. So there are different glands which are present in the body, and the glands are classified into two types, namely the exocrine gland and the endocrine glands. Exocrine glands, they end up producing different products such as sweat, enzyme, mucus and sebum, which pass through a duct system, and examples of exocrine gland include sweat, lacrimal and mammary glands. On the other hand, endocrine glands, they are otherwise referred to as ductless glands. The reason being, this particular group of gland do not have duct, and endocrine glands are responsible for producing hormones, which in turn tends to have a physiological effects either on all cells present in the body or on a particular group of cells. Examples of endocrine glands include the pituitary, adrenal and thyroid gland. And the pancreas is basically a part of the digestive system. The exocrine part of the pancreas constitutes the acinar and duct tissues, and the exocrine part is responsible for secretion of different digestive enzymes, which in turn is responsible for the breakdown of complex food molecules into smaller ones so that it can be readily digested by the body. And the endocrine part of the pancreas involves the islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans are responsible for the production of three hormones with the help of three groups of cells, namely the alpha cells, which is responsible for production of glucagon. Insulin is being produced by beta cells, D cells, which are responsible for producing a hormone called as somatostatin. Now of this, glucagon and insulin, which are responsible for maintaining blood glucose homeostasis. The role of glucagon is to increase the blood sugar level, and the role of insulin is opposite to that of glucagon. It helps in decreasing the blood sugar levels. So endocrine glands, they are responsible for the production of hormones, and the hormones which are being produced, it can either have an effect on the entire body or on certain parts of the body. And the hormones which are being produced can be classified into two types. The first one is called as local hormones, and the second one is called as general hormones. Examples of local hormones include serotonin and prostaglandin, and examples of general hormones include growth hormone and thyroxine hormone. So growth hormone is being produced by the anterior part of the pituitary gland, and this is the hormone which helps in promoting growth of different parts of the body. Whereas thyroxine is basically a hormone which is being produced by the thyroid gland, and the role of thyroxine in the body is to increase the rate at which different chemical reactions occurs in the body. Now moving on to the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is otherwise referred to as hypophysis or the master gland. The reason as to why pituitary gland is referred to as the master gland is it has the ability to control the activities of the other glands which are present in the body, which weighs around 0.5 to 1 gram, but the amount of work it does is tremendous. It gets connected itself to the hypothalamus by means of a stalk which is called as pituitary stalk or the hypophyseal stalk. And pituitary gland, anatomically, it is being divided into two parts. The anterior part, which is otherwise referred to as adenohypophysis, and then you have the posterior part, which is otherwise referred to as neurohypophysis. The anterior part of the pituitary gland has three different parts. The first one is called as pars tuberalis, pars intermedia and pars distalis. Now talking about the origin of the anterior part of the pituitary gland, it originates from the rachis pouch, which is an embryonic invagination of the pharyngeal epithelium. Whereas in case of the posterior part of the pituitary gland, that is neurohypophysis, it has two parts, namely the infundibular stalk and the pars nervosa, and it is an outgrowth from the hypothalamus. So in total, the pituitary gland is responsible for the secretion of 8 different hormones, of which 6 hormones are being produced by the adenohypophysis, and you have 2 hormones which is being produced by the neurohypophysis. Now the anterior part of pituitary gland, it has different cells, and each cells are responsible for the production of different hormones. For instance, somatotropes are responsible for the production of growth hormone. Adrenocorticotropin, in short called as ACTH, is produced by corticotropes. Thyroid stimulating hormone is being produced by thyrotropes. You have gonadotropes which are responsible for the production of luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, and finally prolactin is being produced by lactotropes. The levels of hormones which are present in the body is being controlled by 2 different groups of hormones, namely the hypothalamic releasing hormones and hypothalamic inhibitory hormones, and the entire process is being controlled by a mechanism called as negative feedback mechanism, which means that if there is reduced level of a particular hormone in the body, for example thyroxine, what happens is nerve signals is being sent to the hypothalamus, which in turn detects the level of thyroxine present in the body, and if the levels of thyroxines are extremely low, what happens is signals are being passed to adenohypophysis, from which it travels to the target gland, and here the target gland is the thyroid gland, which in turn stimulates to release thyroxine hormone. And once the blood levels of thyroxine is increased, what happens is inhibitory hormones are being released to the target gland in order to reduce the amount of thyroxine, and this mechanism keeps continuing. There are 2 hormones which is being produced by the posterior part of the pituitary gland. The first one is vasopressin and the second one is oxytocin, and the amount of hormone secreted by the posterior part of the pituitary gland is controlled by means of nerve signals which originates from the hypothalamus. So let us discuss one hormone which is being produced by the pituitary gland, that is the growth hormone. So the other name for growth hormone is called a somatotropic hormone, and the growth hormone is the one which actually enables the person to grow through different processes, like it increases the size of cell, and this process is called as hypertrophy. It promotes mitosis, it promotes differentiation of cells, and most importantly, it also stimulates the process of epiphyseal cartilage growth, which is required for the development of long bones. So moving on to disorders of growth hormone. So disorders could be of 2 types, either disorders occurring due to deficiency of a particular hormone or when there is excessive production of a particular hormone. So deficiency of growth hormone leads to a condition called as dwarfism. It is a condition wherein there is less production of growth hormone, owing to which the person is not able to grow properly. This condition is otherwise referred to as pan-hypopituitary dwarfism, and some of the factors contributing to dwarfism include genetic factors, genetic disorders like Down syndrome or Turner syndrome, presence of a bone condition, genetic bone condition called as achondroplasia, and it could also be due to intrauterine factors. There are 2 types of dwarfism. The first one is called as proportionate dwarfism and the second one is disproportionate dwarfism. The difference in these 2 conditions is, in case of proportionate dwarfism, the growth of head, trunk and limbs are proportionate to each other, but in case of disproportionate dwarfism, the body parts are not proportionate in nature. The reason being, a condition called as achondroplasia is present in this condition. Now achondroplasia is a condition wherein there is genetic mutation of arms and legs, because of which the person is not able to grow normally like how other normal people grow, and because of this what happens is a 10-year-old child may have a development of a 4-year-old child. Moving on to gigantism. Now excessive production of growth hormone leads to a condition called as gigantism. When there is excessive production of growth hormone, what happens is there is automatically rapid growth of body tissue, and the person keeps on growing and he or she reaches a height to 7 to 8 feet, and this particular condition occurs during childhood. The next one is acromegaly. Again, this condition occurs due to excessive production of growth hormone, but here the person will not grow taller, but instead this particular condition is characterized by the enlargement of certain parts of the body such as hand, feet, nose and forehead. Thank you.